In this film, we're going to be visiting Bruce Nauman's retrospective at Tate Modern in London. We will be looking at work made over 40 years, comprising sculpture, video, photography, and installation.
Hello, welcome to the Art Channel. Bruce Nauman was born in 1941 in Fort Wayne in Indiana, in the American Midwest. He now lives actually in New Mexico on a ranch and breeds horses. Initially he trained in mathematics and physics, and I think actually that makes sense when you see the work. It's very logical in a way. It's ridiculous, but the making of it and the interrogation is quite logical. So it's quite an atypical route that he took to being an artist. And he says as he grew up, he had little awareness of what contemporary art was.
One of the most prominent works in the exhibition is titled 100 Live and Die, which is made of 100 phrases using either the word live or die in that particular phrase. For example, sleep and live, and there's no apparent sense of hierarchy, is there, or sense of logic to the way in which these are sequenced.
I think, like all of Nauman's work, it's not meant to be pretty, it's not meant to be beautiful. So if it is, it's sort of accidental. He's obviously playing into this idea of walk, don't walk, of neon lights on the street. So we're familiar with it. But as you say, we're faced with these phrases like play and die, kill and live. They're quite disturbing. And you have to stand there for a long time as all of these phrases come towards you. But it's very seductive. You have to wait to the end of the sequence.
Yes, I particularly love this work and his use of neon in his exploration of language, because on the face of it, they are commands, instructions. But I think there's almost like an internal monologue that we all carry inside our subconscious, or even in our conscious minds, of what it is we should be doing, choices that we make, whether to conform, whether to resist.
It's strange, isn't it? It's like a mantra, as you say, it's like a set of instructions, but they're rude, abrupt, they're strange, they're nonsensical. But I think Nauman is always saying, look how ridiculous our lives are, look how absurd the things we do are. Do we obey, do we not obey? So it's very seductive because it's very familiar, but it is a quite strange, as you say, set of instructions that are there to ignore, really.
And there's something quite obsessive in the use of language. It reminds me of the way in which a child, when they're learning language, repeats a word or a sound over and over again, to the point that the kind of meaning or signification within those words breaks down and collapses, and it just becomes a sort of set of symbols where the meaning has kind of evaporated.
Yeah, you're right. They're coloured shapes in the end, aren't they? They're not words, they're not instructions, it's not a mantra. It's just a set of lights kind of flashing in front of your eyes. But I think he is very interested in our responses to and use of language, and he's interested in turning it upside down and making it, as I said, ridiculous. Musical Chairs, made in 1983, is a piece of sculpture. Nauman works across all sorts of forms, and he says he works with what's at hand. This is interesting because it has 2 chairs on it and they are incomplete. They're not fit for purpose. They dangle from the ceiling. And Nauman freely admits that chairs originally appeared in his work because he wasn't great at depicting the figure. So it looks a little bit like a minimalist piece of sculpture, but I think it's definitely poking fun at that tradition.
Yes, I mean, there's a subversion or a satirical take on minimalism, and formally it does have the appearance of very sort of pure, reduced sculpture. But then we learn that he is referring to children's nursery rhymes and the game of musical chairs, which, if we remember it from our own childhood, involves a struggle or a conflict because there are too few chairs for the number of players, and then there's an elimination. But he's also referring to an interest at the time that he made it in political oppression in Latin America. So it operates on many different levels. It has this kind of formal sculptural interest, and then of course these references both to children's games and then to a contemporary political context of torture and the interrogation of prisoners strapped to chairs.
I think that's one of the things that Nauman does. He doesn't do lots of interviews. He's not interested in the artist as a huge personality. And some of the work is challenging. It's quite difficult to look at. And as you say, works on different levels in different ways. So you have to sort of step up. You have to interrogate it, and you have to acknowledge those different references. As you say, you can be thinking about children's games, and you can be thinking about serious political oppression in the same piece of work, which is also looking at a fairly formal artistic tradition.
Another very prominent and famous work by Bruce Nauman in this retrospective is called Clown Torture from 1987, and he's using video technology. It's really an installation comprising different monitors, different speakers, and we have lots of different kinds of associations with a clown. Are they a kid's entertainer who makes children laugh? Or is there something perhaps more sinister about the clown in the tradition of the court jester, the truth teller, the subversive force that disrupts?
Yeah, it's a strange piece of work, isn't it? I think it's annoying. And a lot of Nauman's work is meant to annoy you and irritate you. You never can sit and easily relax and look at a Nauman piece of work. That's not the point. They're meant to sort of poke you in the ribs. They're meant to bring you up and stop you in your tracks when you see a piece of work. And you're right, you know, this strange archetype. But there are always these different uncomfortable aspects to it.
And then, of course, there's the experience of the spectator watching the clown. And we are made to feel very uncomfortable.
Here, even though it's on a set of screens, this man is in your face. He's terrifying and nasty to you, and it feels like an individual attack. And then sometimes I feel sorry for him. I feel he's terrified as well. So I've seen it lots of times, and it's always disturbing. I think Nauman has a fascination with language, with deconstructing language and looking at its glitches and ambiguities. And I think that comes through in lots of the work, the neons and the other pieces. Weirdly, there's a kind of obsessional quality. There are loops, there are rhythms. And I think he explores work in an amazing depth, don't you?
Yes, I love Bruce Nauman's art. I mean, it is quite cerebral, and that's not to everyone's taste. But I think actually he moves across the spectrum from the most kind of physical and tactile sensory work, almost looking at the world through the eyes of the child. For example, in that work where he's walking across a line in his studio and just exploring the weight and gravity of his body as he moves his legs one in front of the other. Two, those very intellectual explorations of language and the meaning, the symbolism of communication itself.
I think initially he talked about making sculpture from cheap materials, and making sculpture with his body, his own body, was the first thing that he did. And I think you're right, it's fascinating stuff, and it's cerebral, and it's not easy to look at, and he's always questioning the rules and the expectations of gallery goers, of art lovers.
There's a interest in psychoanalysis, really, of the subconscious.
He is insistent that we look at the difficult bits, the hard bits, and I think that's what he does in the studio. He says he goes straight to the difficult bits. And you get that, you see that. There's no shying away from what he wants you to look at.
He's definitely a very influential artist on a younger generation. And he's a sort of godfather of conceptual art, really.
Thank you for watching our film on Bruce Nauman. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can find us on Instagram, and you can subscribe for free on YouTube so you don't miss our next film.